There's going to be another quarterback competition. Be somewhat of a joke because Brock Purdy won't be involved. Like the two people competing for the job won't get the job. The one person not competing is going to win the competition. So that's all you need to know about that. But we'll watch it. There's other parts though of training camp that I like, namely the one-on-ones. Here's how the practice goes. They warm up, they stretch, then they go to their positions and they like start doing like all the little techniques. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't play football. All the little techniques. Okay, so they do that with their position coaches. Then they do one-on-one drills. Yeah. So you'll have offensive line versus defensive line, running backs versus linebackers in pass coverage, wide receivers versus corners, safeties versus tight ends. It's a lot of fun. Those are my favorite things to watch. The one-on-ones, not because you just get a feel for scouting players. Are you better than him? You guys, one-on-one. Right. So which are some of the one-on-one matchups you would be most intrigued to watch if you were there?
The one I would be loving to watch is Charvarius Ward versus Brandon Ayuk. I want to see. Everyone's talking about nobody can cover Brandon Ayuk. So I would love to see that. The top corner on the 49ers versus the top receiver on the 49ers. I would love to see that battle. Hopefully we get some. I'm going to be there for at least one day, maybe more. And that's what I'm really going to be keeping an eye on if we get to see it.
They don't always like give you the marquee matchups. It's sort of like what the depth chart dictates. So Ayuk to me is the split. He's the X receiver. He's the guy who lines up on the line of scrimmage. He's on the left a lot. He probably will go against Lenore a lot.
Yeah.
Although they'll probably switch it up sometimes, but I think you're going to see Debo against Charvarius Ward a little bit more, and that's a tough matchup for Debo.
Yeah, I don't think Debo's gonna. I don't know. That's why I want to see Brandon Ayuk versus Charvarius. Whether we get to see a lot of it or not, I want to
probably see it at least once. At least
Yeah.
once. I would want to see that too.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting watching Isaiah Oliver against Juwan Jennings because Jennings is tough to cover in these. He's big. He's a good route runner. But Isaiah Oliver is big too. He's got length, and I think he's going to give Juwan Jennings problems in ways that K-Wan couldn't, or maybe Jimmy Ward couldn't.
I had that. All slot receivers versus Isaiah Oliver, and also slot receivers versus Sam Womack. That was on my list as well.
Sure. I think Womack would have his hands full against Jennings. I think Oliver can handle him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Oliver might have a good season this year.
Yeah, I think so too. If he can stay healthy.
My next matchup would be Colton McKivitz versus Bosa or anyone on the D-line. I want to see.
See, I don't think it's going to be Bosa. I don't think they're going to do that to poor Colton. I think it's going to be Bosa against Trent Williams like 3 times, maybe tops, and then they'll stop for the rest of the offseason. And then I think it's going to be Colton versus Drake Jackson.
I want to see that.
That's going to be interesting. I think you're going to see a lot of that.
Drake is an athlete, man. And if Colton McKivitz has problems against Drake Jackson, it's a bad sign for the season. So we're going to see.
That's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if Drake Jackson can't beat Colton McKivitz, that's a bad sign for Drake.
That's a bad sign for Drake. Yeah. So that's a very, very telling matchup. But also the one-on-ones, not necessarily when it comes to offensive line, it's more about what they do as a unit. It seems like
true.
Right. Your one-on-ones don't necessarily
remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
more in these one-on-ones, you got to remember which side is at the disadvantage. So in the one offensive line, defensive line, O-line's at a disadvantage because there's never going to be a situation in a game where they're one-on-one. They're always got a guy next to him. Sometimes the offensive tackles get in space, but so that then in wide receivers, corners, the corners are at a disadvantage because there's no safety help, and the wide receivers can do like 8 moves. Same thing for anyone in coverage is at a disadvantage in this drill. The offensive line are at a disadvantage. So you got to remember that. So that's why if Drake Jackson can't win, that's a bad sign.
Right.
Colton McKivitz could get worked one-on-one by a lot of people, but you put him in a game with people around him and like you could chip and then you can help him out. That's what they did with McGlinchey.
Right.
For years because he was awful in one-on-one. I remember when they drafted Mike McGlinchey, they drafted him in 2018. They spent the 9th pick in the draft on him. I was like, I can't freaking believe this. You would have to run block. They had him one-on-one against Cassius Marsh. That was back before you were allowed to post it and put it on YouTube. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I was like, I have to build a YouTube channel to show what's happening to Mike McGlinchey in practice. Cassius Marsh was destroying this man daily. And it turned out that Cassius Marsh was the same Cassius Marsh. It wasn't that good. But anyway.
One-on-ones are tough when you're an offensive lineman. Yeah, and I'm talking as a guy who played offensive line. I played nose tackle and right tackle when in my youth. So I can tell you from both sides of the ball, it's definitely hard as an offensive line to block a guy one-on-one with no help around you, right? But the gaps are humongous. So it's tough.
It's tough to play corner against these best. Like, how do you cover Brandon Ayuk man to man with no safety help and no pass rush.
Right. And
They're
not
gonna need
not
to do
even
like
really a sideline, right? They're not really up against a sideline. There's no players around them necessarily. I mean, they have
you got a
space.
sideline. Maybe you got a sideline depending on his
Maybe.
where he lines up. Maybe
Yeah.
that's tough. That's
It
why
is.
if a corner's winning those drills, you're like, okay, this guy's legit.
There, there's
Okay,
ve- there's very few lockdown corners anymore. Like it's really tough
it's
to
tough.
to
It's
to lock
tough.
down a
So
wide
yeah,
receiver.
like if Travarius Ward gets beaten in this drill, you don't just say like, well, he sucks. Like, no,
Right.
it's to be expected. But if he wins, if Cole McKivitz is winning, like Trent Williams never loses in this drill. It's like, okay, I get
Right.
it. Yeah, you're great. You're
Uh, uh,
supposed to lose. You make Nick Bosa look like Nick Nosa. That was terrible. I'm sorry.
Another one I got, man. I want to see Feliciano, man. For some reason, something in me. I just think he's one of the top tackles or top offensive linemen on this team. I really do. I think at some point this season he's going to be a starter, and
Yeah.
it may be at the one position he's never played. Feliciano has played every position on the line except right tackle, but it won't surprise me if he ends up taking McKivitz's spot at right tackle. I feel like Feliciano is top 4 maybe on this line. He may be better than Brindell on this line. So it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, in my opinion. So I want to watch Feliciano.
I agree with that. I feel like a lot of people are talking about Jake Brendel as being a real asset to the Niners. He had a good year. He's played 1 year. He's very small for an offensive lineman, and he's there for the outside zone running scheme. Like he's quick enough to do that reach block where you get your like think about it. Center's here. You got a defensive lineman right to his right. He can get around that guy. It's a quick move. It's hard to do. But what about when he goes up against a defensive lineman who's like 325 pounds?
Right. Right.
And the Cowboys got a guy like that. They drafted Mazzie Smith. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's Mazzie Smith. He's 6'3", 323. And then the Eagles drafted Jalen Carter, who's about, he's even bigger. So when teams start just leaning on Jake Brendel with much bigger talent, more talented defensive tackles, and the Niners pocket starts collapsing, what's going to happen? Well, Feliciano's a lot bigger than him. So I'd like to see Feliciano, how he does in these, because I never thought Brendel was that good. Brendel isn't that good in the one-on-ones. He's a good run blocker in the outside zone scheme. It's very specific. But what happens, on the other plays?
Agreed. Yes. Do you have another one? I got a couple.
Yeah, I got another one. I want to see Javon Hargrave against Aaron Banks. I want to see that because I feel like Aaron Banks is going to be Hargrave is going to give him the business every day. I think it's going to be bad. And nothing against Banks. Banks is a good player. He could be. He's ascending, but it's going to be humbling. I think Hargrave is probably unstoppable in this drill. I'm expecting unstoppable from Hargrave. So low to the ground, so technically proficient, so freaking strong. Like, good luck, Banks. Looking forward to that.
Another one I got is Cameron Latu versus Jair Brown. Battle of the rookies.
Thank you.
Tight end versus safety.
I like that one. Yeah.
That's going to be what Latu can do, man. I hope they didn't reach on this guy, man, because the 49ers need a talented tight end too.
I have a prediction that Latu is going to be terrible in this drill. I could be wrong. My prediction is that he's going to be a guy who is useful as a blocker and after the catch, if you can get him open. On play action, which Kyle can do. But in this one-on-one where it's just like, hey, there's a guy man-to-man, pretend it's 3rd and 7, beat him with a move. Like, Jair Brown? I don't think so, man. What I want to see is Braden Willis. I feel like Braden Willis, he should dominate this drill. And not only that, he has to. If he can't dominate this drill, I don't know that he's going to make it in the NFL because he's not like an overwhelming blocker. He's probably not even like a full-on inline tight end, someone you could put on the line. He's like a H-back, full-back, hybrid type, Ben Skoranek type. So if that's who you are, then you need to be able to like annihilate linebackers and safeties in man-to-man coverage. Like Dwelly can. Dwelly doesn't lose. Dwelly does not lose in this drill. He runs a 5'1", 40-yard dash. He rumbles up the field. It looks like he's moving in slow motion. He gives this little head fake, and he always gets the guy off balance. He's 6'5". He makes a contested catch. Boom. Does 2 for 2, 3 for 3 every freaking day. And that's whose job you're taking, Braden. Otherwise, you'll go to the practice squad. You're like one of the 20 last picks in the draft. No one will pick you up. So I want to see Braden. I think he could be really good in this drill.
Yeah, I think it's good. The other ones I got are kind of just general, man. Like I want to see Trey Lance versus Fred Warner in the defense. I want to see what he can do. That's obviously a big one, right? I want to see Sam Darnold versus Ghost, right? I want to see how he looks against the defense, right? Against Sam Darnold versus Casper, the friendly ghost. I want to see that matchup. I want to see how it goes, man, because that's another one.
I heard Casper has his number, man. Casper's been watching him. He's been watching the film.
As the film. He's got a book on him.
So that means when Sam Darnold's on the field, it's like 13 versus 11, right? He's just seeing people.
He's got extra players out there.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam.
I didn't see that coming. Sorry, Sam. But you said it. Okay.
And the last one for me. Do you have another one? Because I'll give you the last one that I think.
I want to see Spencer Burford versus Eric Armstead. Like,
yeah,
Spencer Burford has a lot of potential. He's a little small for a guard. I think he's the guy of the second-year guys who's probably made the biggest leap and is going to be the most improved. Now prove it against Eric Armstead, man. Like, Eric Armstead is he's one of the more powerful defensive tackles in the league. He doesn't always finish the play with a sack, but man, he can put you on skates. Like, he can make you look like a little kid, and he does it all the time. So I want to see if Spencer Burford can hold his own and anchor against Eric Armstead. Like, that's a very good sign. And if he gets punked by Eric Armstead, it's not necessarily the end of the world because a lot of people do. Armstead's.
I feel like that Armstead could be a huge difference maker for the 49ers this year. I know they moved him inside after he got paid, but he had 10 sacks before he got paid the year on his contract year. After that, he's at less than 10 combined for the last 3 years. If he can be effective, and he might be with Hargrave there and Bosa, but if Armstead can have the best season of his life, this defense could be crazy good. It really could.
I would agree. He needs to stay healthy. He basically didn't get healthy until the playoffs last year, but he was a factor in the playoffs. Last one. Excited to watch, eager to watch McCaffrey for the first time in training camp one-on-ones. This dude does not mess around. I saw him in mini camp. He doesn't take days off. He'll be there. He'll be there every freaking day. And this Niners defense is very proud. They think they're better than the Niners offense. They think that they can shut him down. Okay, who can cover this man? Who's going to do it? Who's going to step up? And who even wants to do it? Because there's fans there. There's media there. Who wants to match up? Fred, are you going to step up? Or are you going to let Dre Greenlaw take it? I want to know. I'm curious to see because I feel like no one can stop this man to man. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch, right? I don't expect many people to. I mean, Fred Warner is a good matchup with CMC. He's best. It's honestly like one of the best running backs or the best linebacker in the NFL. So that would be fun to watch. I got one more, man.
Those linebackers can't cover Juszczyk in this drill, to be honest. So I want to see how they do against. And if you've been there, you know I'm right. It's true. Juszczyk just dices them up. Juszczyk is tougher to cover in this drill than freaking Kittle. Because, again, Kittle, you never hear Kyle Shanahan praise George Kittle's route running. He'll say, like, oh, he's working on it. He's a yak guy. He's a yak guy. It's not his drill.
I got one for you, man. It's a big one. Kyle Shanahan versus himself.
Ooh!
That's the
like the story of the Niners every year.
I want to see it.
Kyle versus Kyle.
I want him to make the right decision with the quarterbacks, like through training camp, right? If you feel like Trey Lance is the guy, then don't split reps 50-50 with Sam Darnold. Like, give it to Trey Lance. Let him get his reps in. That's one thing. And then also, if you're pushing Brock Purdy to be ready week 1 and he's not, you need to not do that, man. Like, don't force Brock Purdy out there before he's ready. Don't rush him back. So it's Kyle Shanahan versus himself is a matchup I'm looking forward to seeing.
I like that. That's a good way to end it.